Have you ever had one of those days, or let's be real, maybe one of those weeks, where you feel like you're just running on a hamster wheel? You are absolutely exhausted, you've been busy all day, but when you stop and look back, you honestly can't name a single thing you really accomplished. It is such a frustrating and demoralizing feeling.
And this quote right here, it just hits so hard for so many people. It's that feeling of being in constant motion, but making zero forward progress. It's that nagging voice in the back of your head telling you you're falling behind, no matter how hard you try to keep up. And, it can really make you start to question yourself.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is this struggle some kind of defect in your character? Is it a lack of discipline? Or could it be something else entirely? What if it's not about being a good or bad person, but it's just about neurology? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. So let's just start by ripping off the Band-Aid. We need to tackle the biggest, most harmful misunderstanding of them all. This myth that what we're talking about is just plain old laziness. For years, that's been the easy label to slap on it, but what we know now tells a completely different story. This right here gets to the absolute heart of the matter. The myth says you just don't care enough, but the reality? The reality is that people who struggle with this desperately want to get started. The problem isn't a lack of will or motivation. It's about struggling to get the engine turned over and to point the car in the right direction. It's an issue with directing your focus, not a lack of it.
And this is so critical because it shows you where that inner voice of self-blame often starts. Long before an adult is staring down a deadline, there was a kid struggling in a classroom. As Dr. Hallowell points out, after years of hearing these labels, lazy, stupid, stubborn, you start to believe them. You internalize this idea that something is fundamentally wrong with you, not with how your brain happens to be wired.
Okay, so if it's not a moral failing, what is it? Well, the answer is in a set of mental skills that scientists basically think of as the brain's own personal CEO. This management system is what we call your executive functions. You can think of them as the air traffic controller in your mind. They're supposed to coordinate everything, plan the flight paths, and make sure all the planes land safely. So you can imagine, if the air traffic controller is overwhelmed, things can get chaotic really fast. And it is wild just how much this system is in charge of. Planning a project, organizing your desk, having a sense of how much time has passed, or even just starting a task. Managing your frustration when something goes wrong, holding a phone number in your head while you look for a pen, these are all executive functions. So when these skills are a challenge, it doesn't just affect one little thing. It affects the entire operating system of your life. So why is this management system different in a brain with ADHD? It really comes down to what flips the on switch for motivation. It's a totally different model for getting engaged with the world. See, for a typical brain, knowing a task is important or that there is a reward at the end is usually enough to get it going. But for an ADHD brain, the nervous system is wired for interest. It's not that importance doesn't matter, it's just not enough fuel for the engine. That brain is waiting for a spark, a genuine interest, an exciting challenge, the adrenaline rush of a looming deadline, or something brand new and shiny. Without one of those things, that engine just won't turn over. I absolutely love this quote from Tom Hartman because it gives so much credit to what people have been doing their entire lives, often without realizing it. They've been creating their own workarounds. They figure out how to invent that urgency or find a new angle on a boring task, all to kind of trick their own brain into getting on board. They've become masters at outsmarting their own wiring. And that is the secret. If your internal manager is a little unreliable, the best strategy isn't to just try harder or to beat yourself up about it. The best strategy is to build a better, more reliable manager outside of your own head. This is the core principle for managing executive dysfunction. You have to accept that your internal planner, your internal to-do list, your internal clock, they might be a little inconsistent. So you stop relying on them. You outsource the job to physical, tangible systems you can actually see and touch. Okay, here's a perfect, concrete example of what I mean, the ABC method. Instead of trying to hold the weight of every single task in your head all at once, which is completely exhausting, you just dump it all out onto paper. By physically labeling what's a must-do versus a could-do, you give your brain permission to ignore all the extra noise and just focus on the one or two things that actually matter right now. And your toolkit can be anything that works for you. The whole goal is just to reduce the number of steps and the mental energy it takes to do something. A lidless laundry basket means one less step. You don't have to think about opening it. A specific pile for mail means you don't have to decide where it goes every single day. These aren't crutches. They're just really smart, efficient scaffolds that support your brain. So we've covered the why and we've covered some of the how, but honestly, the most powerful tool of all isn't a planner or an app. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about yourself.
This is such a powerful idea. You are not broken. Your brain is not something that needs to be fixed to fit into some other mold. It's just an operating system that needs a different kind of user manual. The goal isn't to become a different person, it's to become a better manager of the amazing person you already are.
And this is it. This is where the magic happens. You can buy every planner on the shelf, but the real change happens when you start approaching your challenges with self-compassion instead of self-criticism. When you stop seeing a struggle as a character flaw and start seeing it as just a piece of data, a clue that's telling you what kind of support your brain needs to do its best work.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Imagine all the energy that currently goes into fighting with yourself, into feeling guilty and frustrated. What could happen if all of that energy was redirected? What could you build or create or accomplish if you finally started working with your unique brain wiring instead of constantly working against it?